On this episode of the Delano Little Show, we're talking about a very important marriage, the marriage between sports and the military. We're talking to representatives from some of our local pro franchises who love to support the men and women who protect our country.
Sports presents the Delano Little Show.
It's our military appreciation show, and I'm here with Greg Walter, General Manager of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's good to see you again. Haven't seen you in quite some time.
Absolutely, good to see you too.
You know, when I first got here back in 1989 as a sports reporter, I got here in May, so you know what that meant. The first event I ever went to was the All-Star race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I was out there. And they had this major military tactical thing that went down on the infield, and it was like, this is crazy, you know? It's like, but that's been a tie-in to NASCAR for many, many years. How did it all start, and where's it going?
Well, you know, few people know that our founder, Bruton Smith, actually was in the 82nd Airborne, so he's a veteran. But that May being on the eve of Memorial Day takes a whole different tone, right? So many people think in America that Memorial Day is a kickoff to summer, but it's the most solemn holiday in our nation. And so we want to be sure that even though it's a great celebration, it's a great test of driver and machine, it's also got that tone of we want to be respectful of what Memorial Day means to our country. We have this wonderful relationship with the Department of Defense, and we are stewards of that story. So for those who don't know, you know, the 600 miles of remembrance is where we put the names of fallen, you know, servicemen and women who passed away in the service of our country. We bring the Gold Star families to the track, you know, for race weekend and love on them.
Right.
You know, we pause halfway through the race. Delano, what other sport does that? Where you stop halfway, all this noise, all this chaos, yes. And halfway through, we bring the cars on the pit road, and we stop for 30 seconds.
As far as I can think of, no other sport does that, yes.
And that's just part of the weekend. We've now started taking the winner of the Coke 600 to Arlington National Cemetery, where we get the winner to lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown. We took Denny Hammond, last year's winner, and Marcus both laid a wreath at the tomb. It's just this really solemn moment to understand that May is Military Appreciation Month, but we want to be sure we get that story right, not only to the Gold Star families, those who are currently serving, but all of our veterans. I think I looked at some survey information recently that 40% of the NASCAR fans have either served or related to someone serving or a veteran.
Wow, yes, and we've talked about the fact my father was 20 years Army retired too, and many people in my family are part of the military and what it means. I'm sure for Denny Hammond, that was you obviously can't speak for him, I'm sure it was a very amazing moment for him. But it's great to have the drivers involved too. You guys try to get them involved in the military.
We do. You know, all the things that make for a winning race team are also appropriate for what the military does. You know, teamwork, selflessness, you know, purpose, mission, planning. And so what we'll do is we will take a driver to one of the bases nearby. You know, North Carolina is unique in that we have some of the largest bases, largest Marine Corps base with Camp Lejeune, Fort Bragg. The Norfolk Naval Station is not that far away. Right. So we'll take a driver to interact with the elements within each of those. And it's neat to see the driver have this aha moment of, wow, I didn't quite understand, or maybe I have a better appreciation for what the men and women in the service do. You know, Joey Logano was up at Norfolk and got a chance to go in a simulator and actually drive a ship. And he's like, man, this thing does not steer like my 22 car.
Right.
Austin Dillon going to Fort Bragg and being able to see the fitness, because he's an athlete and that focuses a lot on his physical fitness. The things that the paratroopers have to do when they lift ammo cans, or they have to take a wounded comrade off the field, that kind of physical peak conditioning is also something that a driver does. So it's neat to kind of those correlations and put those two together.
What you got anything big planned for the future with the military?
We continue to, it's a stewardship of the story. With the military talking about right now, they have this storyline of why we serve, why an all volunteer military. I think it's 75 years since actually the military was integrated. And so telling those stories year after year, we'll get together with them probably in July and figure out what's the next thing we can do. For us at Charlotte, it's actually all year long. It's not just May, but in terms of doing things with charities like Purple Heart Homes, where we've leaned in and helped a veteran with who may be in a tough spot right now, rebuild a house, or just loving on our veterans or families, the Gold Star families like I talked about. It's part of our ethos, it's part of who we are, and it's something we're very proud to do.
I saw a post on Facebook the other day. I think it was Greg Biffle. I believe it was Greg Biffle, and he had his son, and basically said, my son paused for a moment, and he had his cars, and he put his cars away, and he's standing up there, and he's watching at the beginning of a NASCAR race, and he had his hand over his heart, and he's watching the national anthem. I mean, that speaks volumes to a lot of people.
It does. We are grateful for the opportunities that are afforded us. Those liberties that have been a high price have been paid for, and we're mindful of that each and every day, and our sport reflects that.
We appreciate all you do for the military and all you do for the community as well.
Thank
Greg
you.
Walter, always a pleasure.
Give us a,
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back here on the Delano Little Show.